you know, I mean, Bill has been an institution. This is a famous district because of what Bill's contributed over the last 30 years, and these are big shoes to fill, and, you know, both of you think you can do it, and I just want to hear sort of, I think we all want to hear just, if you were there for 30 years, what would you want your legacy to be? If you were to be there for 2 years, what would you want to accomplish?
Well, I don't know about the 30 years. That's a long time. I give him credit for that. I'll start off by saying why I'm doing what I'm doing, and maybe kind of moving into issues from there, because why I'm doing what I'm doing, of course, is going to tell you why I feel the way I feel about the issues. I never really intended to be in politics. It wasn't like my goal. My thing was to work in the community and help people. The reason for that is where I grew up, I didn't have a lot of people working to help me, and a lot of the people around me didn't have a lot of people working to help them. And I was fortunate enough to move out of that area to get to some place where I could do some positive things in life. But I also realized that when I went back to my 10-year high school reunion, that there were people who were still being left behind and people weren't doing anything about it. So I tried to figure out, how can I help these people? And so I created this company thinking, I have a great idea, I'll help everybody. It didn't work out like that. And so because that didn't work out, I moved away from trying to have a simple solution to trying to figure out what I could really do hands-on to help out people. And so that was the genesis of me getting more involved in community. And as I've been involved in community, I've come to learn a lot of things that I really didn't know even about the situation I grew up in. And so that's where everything springs from. So if you hear about me at all, you hear that I've been involved with groups here locally, like People Against Injustice, the Brotherhood Leadership Summit, and on and on and on. More of the groups who are at least trying to do some of those things. Now, whether they're successful or not, that's another question, but they're trying to do some of the things connected directly to community. And also outside, if you have been connected to the Menacing Townhouse in New York, helping young people to advance as they go along, when starting from summer internships and going on in their career path. And so my basic thing is, I'm doing work right now that is critical to this community. When you look at what goes on across these communities, when you look at the violence that goes on, when you look at the people who come back from prisons, when you look at all of those issues that affect all of these communities. And now I know when I talk to some people in different parts of the community, they may not see how those things relate to them, and at least initially, but it affects all of us. That's the work that I've been doing, and that work is important. And the fact that I've been doing that work without a compensation at all, without a title, indicates, at least to me, and I think to most people I've spoken to, that I understand the importance of this work, that I understand more than if I'm getting something, that those people who may be left behind are important. And so my basic thing that I'm talking to people about right now is, if you want to change what you've seen in politics, you have to change who you are voting for. You have to go out and find somebody who, more than a title, more than because they get paid, this is at the core of who they are. And that's what I'm offering. I'm not saying I know the answers to everything, but I do know one answer that is useful. I know that whatever I do as an elected official, and what I have done as somebody in the community, as a community activist, always stems from the people I've been talking to and interacting with. That's where wisdom comes from. It doesn't come from one individual standing at the edge and saying, here's where we're going. And so in this year, when we're talking about change, we have to be smarter about our policies. We have to say, if I keep doing the same thing, I'm not going to get this change that I want. And it doesn't matter how it's wrapped up, what it looks like, you have to have an authentic change. So what I would like to have happen, and the reason why I decided that it should be me as one of the people in the race, is very simple. I was looking for somebody who, at their core, this is who they are. When it's hard and when it's cold outside, when we were standing out there in the winter protesting at the jail, when people thought that we were crazy because we were protesting the parole ban, but we were trying to educate people. That's what we were trying to do, because I don't know how many people know this, and it's just an aside to explain what I'm talking about. The governor, when she instituted this parole ban, was trying to tell people that this was for public safety. Now, it's a good thing, I guess, to tell people, because most people don't know anything about whether it's a good thing or not, right? Nobody knows. It's parole ban. These criminals are coming out and they're going to be on the streets. Must be good for public safety. The truth of the matter is, her office had released a report in March that said that when you go out on parole, which is structured as opposed to end of sentence, you're more likely not to recidivate. And so it's not a public safety issue, it's a political issue. Politically, it works better for her. And so we said, even though we're going to take some heat for being out here looking like maybe crazy liberals and people who just want these people to be out of prison, it's important. And we went out there. We didn't have many people standing with us. Fortunately, at one point we did have Representative Dyson. But we didn't have many people who were people who call themselves community people. We didn't have many people who are elected. We didn't have any of those people. Yet these people are the people who we put there, who we put in these offices to represent us. So all I'm saying to you is, when you go into the poll, think about what you want to be at the core of the person that represents you and what they have done when it's not something that benefits them. Thank you.
Well, I hope you don't mind if I sit here, if you don't mind. My name is Charles A. Blango, born and raised in New Haven. Grew up in the projects. First thing I want to make real clear is that, like I tell everybody that I've been saying from the beginning, no one could fill Bill Dyson's shoes. Mm-hmm. You know, when you look at 32 years of experience, Mr. Dyson is an icon, and not saying that as a formality, just a little bit of history. Mr. Dyson went to college with my grandmother, and when I was a young man going to Shiloh Baptist Church, Mr. Dyson was one of the individuals that we looked up to because we did not have no male role models in our house. And when you look at, when we talk about politics, when you look at the Board of Aldermen, I don't know no elected official besides me and Alfreda that sent out more literature, and if $153 a month is a stipend, then we use that money to give parties, giving back to kids in the community for the last 7 years, the fish fry. And when you talk about me, I'm one of them individuals that, as I've been on the Board of Aldermen, I think I may stood up maybe 3 or 4 times and talk about an issue. I'm one of them individuals, I don't grandstand. And growing up in a single family home, the reason why I got involved in politics, I was minding my business, and Mr. Stanley Rogers and Hank Parker came knocking on my door and talking about that you have to be involved. You have to be a part of the democratic process if you ever want to meet young people. And Mr. Dyson said something at his retirement that was very critical when he said that when you talk about issues, you know, don't use it as a formality or don't use it as a platform. Something I don't share. For the last 14 years, I've been volunteering in the prison correctional facility. Why? My son that I don't talk about, that I won't give his name, been in prison for 5 years. Was a senior at UConn. Got caught up with the wrong group. And when I look at the young men today, that I was just fortunate that I did not get caught up with the wrong group. Growing up in Franklin Street Projects, leaving Franklin Street Projects, growing up in the Asman Street Project, moving to Newhallville. Had gangs, illegal activity, but my mother and my grandmother instilled in me is never the right time to do the wrong thing. And the only way you can make a difference in your community is not the police, is not the education system, which is a part of, is community. You must make the change. When we look at the individuals that's coming out of incarceration, look at it. Once they check, they been incarcerated, their files is thrown on the other side. They don't even get an opportunity. So for 18 years that I have seen it, drop out in truancy and social development, being the first black truancy officer, going to houses, seeing families, single family, growing up, kids growing up in a single family home looking for opportunities, and most of the opportunities are gone. I mean, there's no more boys clubs. There's no more social programs that that you can go to the after school, like the Q House, the Jefferson Street, the Alley Booth, where people was there, like Mr. Dyson, Hank Parker, was able to help you with your literacy skills. And me, I'm in this race because I want to make a difference. Your heart have to be right. If I win or lose, I will still be involved because this is my community. And I realize it starts with me. It starts with me. And so I say when you go to the polls that even if I win, I will stand out the olive branch to Mr. Winfield, who I think that is a political mind that's young, energetic, that we need to work together. I reach across the barriers to work with people. I think the only way you can get things done is working together. Now going up to the state legislature, people come up with ideas, they know how to maneuver. One thing I found out about politics, when you run for a co-chair, an alderman, you promise certain things and you realize it's not what you think when you get there, that you got to network. I'm willing to network. I'm willing to go to the individuals that know, even Mr. Dyson, when this is over, I'm going to call him. I'm going to pick his brain. Tell me how to navigate if I'm the winner. And if not, I'm still going to pick his brain and find how to navigate through this system, because I think that clearly I'm here for our young people and I'm here for our seniors. If you look at, I championed the housing authority to make sure that our seniors, the housing authority, that the seniors, that they will keep it senior owned, that they will not allow individuals that with disabilities, allow the seniors as they get older, that they can have, they can live their life, their golden years. And with the youth is my passion, is my job. Even if they didn't pay me, I would still reach out to try to get our young people. And I think our young people are crying out. And if you look at most of our young men, the women have done their job. I commend them. And it's time for us just to step up. So that's where I'm in the race. Try to make a difference. Realize being on the board of Alderman, that on the local level and going to the state level and some of the things that you're advocating for, that is at the state level.